Why all? It looks like the messy divorce between Jeezy and Jeannie Mai is taking another dramatic turn. Why all? Today we're diving deep into the messy divorce between rapper Jeezy and Jeannie Mai. If you've been following the saga, then you already know it's been a total roller coaster. Just when you thought that things were all figured out, something else crazy happens. But hold on to your seats, because the latest development is that Jeezy is now fighting for primary custody of their daughter. And he's really coming for Jeannie, accusing her of being a deadbeat mom. Have you ever heard such a thing? This is getting ugly. Why all? So let's break it all down. First marriage. Let's rewind a little bit and talk about how these two even ended up together in the first place. As it turns out, this wasn't Jeannie's first marriage. Her first husband was a guy named Freddie Hartez, and they were together for 11 whole years before getting divorced. According to Jeannie, the reason their marriage ended was that she didn't want kids, but Freddie did. Jeannie even hinted that Freddie might have cheated on her, though she didn't come right out and say it. But Freddie did end up getting another woman pregnant just a few weeks after he and Jeannie split, so that kind of confirms the infidelity rumors. After that experience, Jeannie swore she would never get married again. She was done with the whole marriage thing. Any woman who has been divorced knows the red flags. If it's not going to work, it's not going to work. Along came Jeezy. But then along came Jeezy, and he must have had some serious Jedi mind tricks up his sleeve. In fact, Jeannie did a complete 180 on a lot of her personal beliefs and convictions just to be with Jeezy. She went from swearing off marriage to not only getting hitched again but also agreeing to have a child, something she had firmly rejected before. This led some fans to speculate that maybe Jeezy had some kind of manipulation over her, pressuring her to change her life plans to fit his own. As Jeannie put it, "We're grown, we're in our 40s, and what I think is that God somehow managed our timing so that we spent time after our long-term relationships. We both came from 10-year relationships, and we really worked on ourselves to really understand what healthy love is like." First date. Jeezy and Jeannie met for the first time just a couple of days before they went on their first date, and Jeannie described it as love at first sight. "I walk in, I sit down, and 4 hours later, we shut down the sushi restaurant," she recalled. "We had the most amazing deep talk about our greatest lessons in life, our greatest mistakes. It was super vulnerable." So after that initial meeting, Jeezy wasted no time putting the moves on Jeannie. As she explained, "He looks at me and he's like, 'Yo, you want to? I don't know, I don't want to go home. Do you want to go salsa dancing with me?' I mean, 8 hours on the first date, that's definitely some chemistry and sparks right there." Divorce. But of course, sparks can sometimes lead to fire. Now, fast forward a few years into this romantic meetup, Jeezy and Jeannie shocked everybody when they suddenly filed for divorce after just a couple of years of marriage. At first, it seemed like Jeannie was the poor victim here, and Jeezy straight up blindsided her with divorce papers out of nowhere. She was absolutely devastated. Fans rallied around Jeannie, feeling bad that she was getting dumped without any warning. But then the story took a wild turn because rumors started swirling that maybe Jeezy had his own reasons for wanting out of his marriage. You see, there are whispers that he might have suspected Jeannie was getting a little too close with her co-host Mario Lopez, and Jeezy wanted to serve up some good old-fashioned revenge. On The Breakfast Club with Charlamagne tha God, he claimed that he always knew they weren't going to work. "It was just always instances where I just knew that this wasn't going to work out for me, right? So I had to figure out how to change without losing everything." Well, there were claims that the real issue was that Jeezy and Jeannie had totally different views on family and values and expectations, and they just weren't on the same page about a lot of things. However, Jeannie herself insisted she was heartbroken over the divorce and wanted to make things work, while Jeezy seemed to have already checked out emotionally. Child custody. Well, now Jeezy is finally speaking up, giving us his side of the story, and let me tell y'all, it's a doozy. According to some legal documents obtained by Page 6, Jeezy is fighting for primary custody of the couple's 2-year-old daughter, Monaco. As Page 6 reports, according to the court filing by Jeezy, Lack of consistency, continuity, and stability inherently associated with such a haphazard and fluid parenting time schedule is becoming stressful for Monaco. Jeezy is straight up accusing Jeannie of not even properly taking care of their child. He claims Jeannie has left the majority of the parenting duties to her own brother and mother, instead of handling it herself. Jeezy argues that Monaco would be better off living with him full-time because he can provide the stability and attention she needs. In the court documents, Jeezy says, "I initially agreed to move to the basement of our family home after we separated, but then Jeannie ended up moving out completely and taking Monaco with her. Her extensive travel schedule just isn't good for our daughter, and I've been denied regular visitation with Monaco for nearly 2 months now." Well, Jeezy is really going for the jugular here. He's straight up saying Jeannie is a deadbeat mom who isn't even caring for her child properly. That's a pretty bold accusation, especially considering Jeannie has previously suggested Jeezy may have been unfaithful during their marriage. In her own legal filings, Jeannie even hinted that she could potentially amend her counterclaim to include grounds for divorce based on infidelity. She referenced the prenup clause that would penalize Jeezy financially if he had an emotional or sexual relationship with someone else. So Jeezy is really swinging back hard with these custody claims. Infidelity. But that's not all. She even added that Jeezy had made their home unsafe for their child Monaco. The court documents obtained by Page 6 in December 2023 clearly state, "It is essential to clarify that Ms. Jenkins' insistence on reasonable safety measures being put in place, such as safely securing and locking away all firearms that have been unsecured in the past, as well as having familiar and properly trained caregivers, that is absolutely not gatekeeping but rather a responsible effort to prioritize their daughter's well-being." Well, it's definitely getting messy, and that's going to tarnish the rapper's reputation. Previously, she claimed that she had actually accommodated all of Jeezy's visitation requests with Monaco, including over the holidays. Jeannie said that she was the one who was devastated when the marriage was ending, and she really wanted to keep their family together. So with Jeezy now seeking primary custody, you know Jeannie's going to have to fight hard to maintain an active role in their daughter's life. The whole thing is just so messy and complicated, especially when you consider the history and baggage these two are bringing into the divorce. And then, of course, there are those persistent rumors that Jeannie might have been unfaithful with her co-host Mario Lopez. These two have always had this undeniable chemistry on screen, which obviously fueled all kinds of gossip that their relationship went beyond just work friends, if you know what I mean. Fetishization controversy. First, the good job, guys. Hey, proud Vietnamese girl, we're both first generation. I'm going to have her hook me up with some Vietnamese. In fact, there was even this super weird video going around of Jeannie fetishizing black men, which just added even more fuel to the fire. Jeezy seems to be suggesting that his decision to file for divorce was directly linked to him uncovering some evidence of this alleged affair. He reportedly found some flirty, inappropriate text messages between Jeannie and Mario, and that was the final straw that made him pull the trigger on ending the marriage. Jeannie has vehemently denied those cheating allegations, but the optics don't really look great, especially with reports that Mario has had some super intimate moments with Jeannie's family, including Jeezy himself. But why all? It's just a whole tangled web of drama. Fear battle. At the end of the day, this custody battle is shaping up to be a straight-up mess, way worse than we thought it was going to be. Jeezy and Jeannie are really pulling out all the stops to try to discredit and undermine each other. Jeezy is definitely in for a fight by attacking Jeannie's parenting abilities, but Jeannie is still hinting at potential infidelity on Jeezy's part. But if you know how it goes, divorce can be messy. Put in the comments if you know about divorces getting messy. Both Jeezy and Jeannie are likely going to do whatever it takes to protect their own interests and come out on top of this situation. But the big question is now, who's really telling the truth here? I mean, we see Jeannie on Instagram just doing all kinds of sweet stuff with her daughter, but is she just an Instagram mom? Is Jeezy right that Jeannie is really absent and neglectful as a mother? Or is Jeannie the one being unfairly maligned as she claims? Only time and the courts can tell. People had different takes on this matter, and fans have been saying, Who's surprised Jeannie didn't want any children in the first place for a very long time? The man doesn't care for the kid anymore. Gross. Poor Monaco, that's her baby. Jeezy, back off. She thought black men didn't want their children and didn't like being around kids. She thought he'd fold and give her primary custody and child support. Jeezy said, "That's not true. Give me my little Blasian baby." Not surprised, Jeannie seemed like the type who wants the man more than the kid. She gives off those vibes. But what do I all think about this? Do you believe Jeezy's allegations about Jeannie's parenting, or do you think he's just trying to get the upper hand in this custody battle? Drop your thoughts in the comments below and then check out